And we go. Welcome back to Midwest Girls, although I'm kind of the only Midwest girl here tonight.
Singular, not plural.
Yes, I have my husband Jesse joining me tonight.
Midwest man?
Midwest man. My Midwest man. And he is truly a Midwest man.
Very much so.
What do you tell him a bit about yourself there as I call you a Midwest man? What would make you by definition? Besides the location of which you live.
Right, that's what I was going to be the first starting point, I guess. No, I grew up on a farm. I'm back home. I back working with cattle. I am just an outdoorsy person in general. So yeah, I guess
not just outdoorsy. Like you're a man. He builds things. He built this very house I'm sitting in. He's no sissy, Mary.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. I've done a few things, yes, that would make me qualify as a man.
Yes. Yeah. I'm a fan.
Ah, good.
I'm a
Thank
fan.
you.
Okay. So anyways, in all seriousness, this is Jesse. He's been on one other podcast. He has been helping us with our mics this week. Unfortunately, we've kind of narrowed it down to we might need a mixing board. So we are using one mic tonight in hopes that it will not, I don't need to go into it, but just be a bit clearer for you all. Before we get started, I want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, Toups & Co. If you use our code MidwestGirl10, you can go on there and get 10% off of all natural makeup and skincare beauty products. Not just skincare, I believe she has a deodorant even now, which I'm pretty excited about. As I've been learning more and more on how important it is to eat clean, use clean products. And I'm not perfect, that being said. Jesse and I, what did we both just say before getting on the podcast that we're going to do tomorrow due to this weekend?
Back on the diet.
Not a diet.
Wow.
Healthy
eating.
We eat well. We don't diet. Honestly, we don't believe in dieting even.
We were off the wagon for a few days.
The kids had this carnival and there was this cakewalk and they came home with 3 cakes.
No, 2. We gave a pie.
Oh, that's right. We gave a pie away. But then we felt the need to go get a donut Saturday morning. And then the kids were bored.
That was my idea, sorry.
And they made cookies. And it has been like an insane amount of junk this weekend.
Carbs/sugar heavy weekend.
And that's all fine.
And that's okay.
That's all fine and good, but yeah. Why was I saying that? Oh, the importance of clean products and clean eating. Like I'm just learning more and more that it really does matter. So I try to live by an 80-20 rule. So if you're looking to make some small changes in your life to have cleaner products, I highly recommend starting with Toups & Co. Midwest Girls 10. And a big thank you to Emily Toups, who is the owner and founder of Toups & Co. and makes all these products basically from her farm. Like the tallow comes from like her farm, all these products. It's amazing. So, enough about that. Go get some. All right, Jesse.
Not so short and sweet, but
well,
in the end, it was to the point.
Yeah,
so
I suppose so.
I appreciate that.
Whatever. Jesse, we decided that we were going to come on here and talk about just plainly our marriage, and we wanted to really focus on how we have learned how important it is to, I guess the word is be real, but also to serve. What's the verbiage I used earlier?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Well, that's really sad. No, not you. That we both can't remember.
Truth.
That how important it is to put the other before yourself.
Correct.
Really, that's the definition of love. What real love looks like in marriage, I guess, is what we want to be on here talking about today. So. Yeah,
it's unconditional service to the other. It's not about you anymore once you get married. It's in service of the other, and obviously there's a lot more that goes into marriage, making a marriage work than that. We've been married for 15 years. It'll be 16 years this October.
Ah, that's crazy.
I know. I can't hold a candle to some of the individuals that we know, though, but those are, shining examples of what marriage can be, and how long lasting and forever it really is. I mean, when you take those vows, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. So before we get into that, let's just talk about our early years and why we had to choose to love each other.
Mm.
And I believe everyone, it comes down to that choice in your marriage. We all come to this choice of, I'm going to honor this holy vow I took, or I'm not. And it is a choice, believe it or not. Like, it's not a natural to the ushy gushy love, the puppy love at the beginning. That is completely natural, hormonal, attraction driven. The minute that you take a vow and you don't want to follow it, that love is a choice. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Not that you want to break it, but like, if you're really upset about something in your marriage, and I guess you're being tested for the first time, like, am I going to show my spouse grace and love in this moment, or I'm going to not?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a maturity thing. Us as Christians, it's also a spiritual maturity thing as well.
Mm-hmm. And that's why marriage sanctifies us.
Correct. We were young when we got married. Meg was 19.
I was almost 20.
I was 20.
You were 24.
24, really?
Yeah, you're 4 years older than me.
Mm-hmm. Good job on the math. Yeah, so we were very young, but we had
amazing mentors
mentors
early on.
Well, correct, but it was also our upbringing.
Yes.
We both had parents that were married, never divorced, and so we had that as an example. I think that does play a part in marriage,
Mm-hmm.
In our marriage, and of course, like Meg said, we had phenomenal mentors that we could reach out to. And we had a great church that really helped us out early on, not only in our marriage but our spiritual walk as well. They really taught us a lot. So
yeah,
we learned a lot in our early years. But again,
yeah,
our age did show at times. We're not ashamed to admit where we fell short. But I think that's what makes marriages stronger, is when you can recognize those things and learn from them.
Yeah. Well, we're just kind of here to be an open book. So if you find yourself, dating or looking to be engaged, these are things that you want to talk about. Like, I highly recommend finding a pastor, mentors, and some serious conversation, premarital counseling if you're engaged. I think that laid good foundations for us, for sure. And then we still had some hiccups. Everyone's gonna have hiccups, but I guess the second year into our marriage is kind of what we're referencing here. We had a ton of fun. Don't get us wrong. Being a newlywed is amazing. But the second year of marriage, we were both living in Columbus, working. Jesse was getting his career started at Chase. He was doing well there. And I was floundering a bit. That's the truth. I was, like I said, young. At that point, I was probably 20 or 21. And I suddenly found myself a new wife in a city, a big city, that I felt very alone in, away from my family, away from his family. And we're not even close to the church we had made relationships with. We were about 45 minutes away when push came to shove. So we would go to church on Sunday, and then we'd drive back into the city, and we wouldn't see them all week. So I felt extremely isolated. And I really wanted to get out of there. I wanted to move, and in my mind, I was accusing him of all this stuff. Like, you're keeping us here. You don't love me. If you love me, you would. It's like crazy insane things. Like, if you love me, you would take off from work right now. Like, I remember thinking stuff like that in my great maturity. And, he couldn't do that. It's completely ridiculous. But that's where I was. And, and he wasn't perfect either.
Oh no, I mean I'll give my side of that. Men, we are fixers. That's what we do. We solve problems, and we do it the easiest. Try to do it the easiest way as possible. Come up with the best solution and move on it. And I tried to do that countless times. There were decisions that I made that were not very wise. And one example was reaching out to a friend of ours from church to say, "Hey, can you just reach out to Meg and check on her and everything?" And that was a big mistake.
Oh my gosh, ladies, are you with me in this? Like, he called this woman to call me and hang out with me. I felt so pathetic.
Again, let's go rewind to where we said how we were young and not as wise as what we are now. But that's definitely something where I went wrong.
You meant well. Like, I think I
course.
recognized it then, but I was like, don't ever do that again.
Yeah, I got a good talking to after that. But those are the things you learn. Those are the mistakes you make that make you a better couple in the end. For us, it just came down to communication, and yeah, we did have a lot of discussions, plenty of arguments on why we continued to stay in Columbus.
Yeah. And the reason we finally sought out counsel was, I actually heard a pastor say one time, if there was something that kept coming up in your marriage that you could not resolve, like it's showing its face again, it's showing again, you're arguing about this again, you need to seek counsel in that. And that's what this issue was for us. Like, we would go and we would have fun and live in the newlywed life, and all of a sudden I'd be in tears again and we would argue and the night would end badly. And then a few weeks later, it would happen again. And I think it was you finally said, we're gonna go talk to Pastor Bob.
Yeah, I mean it's everybody's personality as far as how they want to handle those things. I have a tendency to just try to ignore it in hopes that it will go away, or just speak my side of it, and she'll listen and she'll understand, and everything will be great.
Isn't it? Wouldn't life be so much easier if you could just force people to understand your side of everything? Just agree with me. I don't want to go through this. But that's
Right.
the dying to self that we're speaking of. We needed help with that. So
and I'm a non-confrontational person by nature. I try to avoid conflict at all cost, and that was my way of handling that as well. So.
Would you say I'm a non-confrontational person? I don't seek out arguments.
Oh no.
But he would rather ignore it, and I'm like, let's do this. Let's take care of this now, because I can't stand it if we're not okay.
True.
Yeah, and he would just be like, it's okay. We'll talk about it tomorrow, and I'd be like, okay, and inside just be dying, like hating it. Like, okay, and honestly, I was trying to be understanding, but it was hurting me that these things weren't being talked about.
So we sought out counseling.
Yeah, and ladies, I'm gonna cringe as I'm saying this. I'm not proud of it, but here we go. I walked into this so assured that Pastor was gonna side with me. I had a list. I was like, he the blah blah blah. He does this. He doesn't do this. Blah, blah, blah. Like, seriously, that gross. And I went in there seriously, like, he is so gonna side with me. There's no way he won't. And Jesse just sat there silently as I did my list.
Non-confrontational.
Yeah. And the pastor, he just sat there, folded his hands, looked straight at me and said, "Love keeps no record of wrong." And I was like speechless, as I should have been. I needed called out, I needed corrected, and I needed to honestly look in the mirror. I needed my sin shown to me, and that he gently corrected me with scripture. I'm so grateful for it to this day. But I really could not say anything after that. And I think now I say that, I think I said something even more stupid, like, I just don't feel like he loves me. And do you remember that?
No, I don't.
And he looked at me and he said, "You know that's not true. Don't say it again." I was like, "Oh," and he was right. Pastor Bob was right. So if Pastor Bob ever hear this, bravo to you, sir.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so he said that, and he basically gently said to each of us that our expectations of one another were not being met, and those unmet expectations were hurting us. So that communication was key, but also believing the best about each other, believing the best about each other, and being humble enough to recognize when you are the one that's wrong. And I think so many married couples in general, there's just an unwillingness to look in the mirror and say, what is my part in this problem? And God loves a humble heart, right, babe?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it takes to make our love relationship, first off, with God work. Like, we come to Jesus humbly. I am a sinner. I need you. But that sets the tone and the example for every relationship here on out. Like, pride cometh before the fall. I fell flat on my face in there with my list. I needed to humble myself and recognize that I was the problem in that moment. Now, he had it too, but I was the one that kept coming with the issues and being accusatory. And it was very wrong of me.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it was, like she said, a lot of arguments on where we should end up. Again, why are we in this city and everything? Don't get me wrong. We loved our church. I enjoyed my job. We had phenomenal friends that came alongside us, and we just developed so many relationships, and we loved it. But at the end of the day, we are both very family-oriented individuals, and that's who we wanted to be close to when it came down to it. And I kept pushing it off and being non-confrontational and just ignoring it whenever we would when this would come back up, because it was always it was a recurring conversation or argument early on for us. And I think we can both agree that once we started having kids, it became magnified.
Yeah.
In that way.
Yes and no, Jesse. I agree. Like, we wanted that. We knew that's what we wanted eventually. But I feel that time away from family was God ordained for us to learn to lean first off on God, but also on each other.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not saying that since we were married, we were trying to get back home to families. I don't think we were.
I needed my mindset changed that, because here's the truth. I was young. I was like, I'm gonna marry my boyfriend, and I'm gonna take him home, and we're gonna go to my parents, and they're gonna buy us pizza. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. That's in my brain. That's what was gonna happen, and that shows the immaturity level. So while I was married very young, and I would say I think people tend to push marriage off too much. Just know, you go into it, you need to be young, you need to be willing to grow together. And I do appreciate that we grew together.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't dig in your heels, be willing to mature.
And you have to, we've heard it from countless people, and I'm sure people listen to this have heard it countless times as well. It's how key communication is in marriage. We always try to be as honest as we can with each other. Even for me being non-confrontational, We try to speak to each other in love. Doesn't
Yes.
always happen that way.
Yes.
We are human. Every marriage has our struggles, and we have our fair share of disagreements.
Yeah, but that is true, babe. That's something we do. And like you said, we're not perfect at it, but more often than not, we speak loving to each other.
Mhm.
We make that priority, and we've learned to quote unquote fight fair. No low blows. You're not allowed to say certain things. And actually, I want to talk about small groups a bit, even.
Sure.
But we have just gotten a new life group. That's what we're calling them now. Off the ground. We are huge advocates of life groups. We think a lot of growing can happen in that type of environment. But someone shared advice that they were given, that we were also given in premarital counseling. And it's this, that the word divorce is not even allowed in the language because it's not an option. It's off the table. It is never allowed. And that's been our mindset. It's not even an option. When you think of it that way, when you take the holy vows you've taken seriously, that's good advice, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
We never let that even creep in.
Yeah, don't give Satan that
Don't give him the
foothold into your marriage. Get that out of there right away.
Yeah. So we were down in Delaware, and I am so thankful for that time. Like,
it was a phenomenal time.
as much as we, missed our family, I wouldn't trade that for anything. I think that we really bonded, and God grew us so much there. But moving on, I had a thought of where I was going with that. I've lost.
I can't read your mind, so I don't know where you were going.
Can't we do that now after 15 years?
Every now and then we do.
We do. We have we'll finish. It's not even that we finish each other's thoughts, but if we're having a conversation, we can predict the next topic we will both bring up, and it's usually the same based on how the conversation's going.
Oh, can I tell a story real quick?
Yes.
Okay, so this was back in October. We were headed to Wisconsin, and we had Sirius radio playing, and it was on some, I don't know, it was like big band or something like that station, right? And they're playing this song, and
Oh yeah.
and I'm like, oh my gosh, this makes me think of a movie. And I thought, all right, I'm going to see how this goes. I said, Meg, what movie does this remind you of? All right, say the answer on 3. And I went 1, 2, 3, and we both said It's a Wonderful Life.
Yes.
At the same time. We're both musicians. I think that kind of plays a part in it.
We even knew what scene we were referring to.
Exactly.
And if you've seen the movie, it's where he almost falls in the pool.
Yeah. Yeah, they're dancing.
And we must be really good. And if you haven't seen that movie, why haven't you? So good.
Little plug there. Good job.
Yes. And I don't care if it's black and white. In fact, I want you to watch it in black and white. It's amazing. Okay. So let's not totally shift gears yet. So we've learned what, babe, in marriage, our top 3 things. Do not give your emotions so much weight that they sway you and you get all in your head and you're confused and you're just thinking the most awful thoughts about your spouse. In fact, I have a scripture for this. It's 1 Peter. I'm going to start at 7. The end of all things is near. Therefore, be alert and of sober mind so that you may pray. Above all, love each other deeply because love covers over a multitude of sins. That therefore be alert and of sober mind. That to me is saying, do not let your head guide your actions. Be of sober mind. Think through things clearly and don't let that be your compass in life. Let Scripture and the Holy Spirit be compass. And then when it says love each other deeply because love covers over a multitude of sins, choosing to love each other despite what you're feeling. Because we've all been there. Like, one moment you can be over the moon happy about something, you stub your toe and you're like wanting to curse the next. That is very fickle, you guys. We can't be following that with our life. We we need scripture, we need the Holy Spirit, and we need to choose to love instead of letting us go crazy with our heads and our emotions. That's because God is not the author of confusion. Satan is. God will be very clear with you. And until you can maybe even clearly vocalize that, just choose to love. Love covers that. So that, don't be swayed by your emotions. Fight fair.
Mm-hmm.
Divorce, the word divorce is not an option in your vocabulary.
And communicate.
Yeah, communicate. That's it.
You know, on the fight fair side of things, you know, going back to a couple of things that we've learned. First off, you know, we go back to life groups and the things that we have learned through studies. There was a study called the DNA of Relationships by Gary Smalley that we went through at our time at the river, and it was an absolutely great study. I mean, I'd highly recommend it for anyone. I mean, you don't have to go through it as a group; you can go through it individually.
That's one I need to revisit, even.
But it talks about in there, you know, how as individuals we tend to put up walls once we have conflict, right? So someone throws an insult at us, we lob an insult back, and you know these walls keep getting taller and taller. And of course, you know, we know how that will turn out. But the other thing as well is when it comes to fighting fair is when you've been married for a certain amount of time, you know your spouse's triggers, right?
Oh,
you know,
so easily.
You know what's going to really get under their skin, and you can't bring those things up. I mean, first off, that shows a lack of maturity in general, but spiritual maturity as well. You know, you have to remember to keep a level head, and sometimes just looking at your spouse and saying, I love you right now, I am not happy, and I need to walk away before you say something that you are going to regret, and hopefully your spouse can respect that. Some spouses are able to talk things through right away, but not all of them. I'm one of those individuals that it's like, oh, okay, I've got to walk away before.
But I would add to that, don't just say, I'm going to walk away. You need to give that person a time when you are going to talk about it, because that almost gives them a pass to keep.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying walk away.
I'm going to walk away,
it.
and we're going to talk about this tonight.
Oh, absolutely. No, yeah, walk away, get your thoughts straight. If you need to write it down, write it down. But no, you can't push it off. I mean, you have to address it.
Yep.
If you don't address it, it builds inside not only of you but of your spouse as well, and does not end well.
Yeah, I agree there, honey. So shall we shift tracks a bit? Because right now we're making marriage sound really hard and not fun, and it's amazing.
Yes, it is.
It is. So, I mean, in all seriousness, we want it to be like, yeah, we want to give you tools to have a great, fun, joyful marriage. And speaking of joyful marriage, did you like that?
Good plug.
Thank you.
Good job.
We have a new life group called Joyful Marriage that we're leading together. How many couples did we have the other night?
12.
12. And with the addition of 2 more at least, right? That were not in attendance. Anyways, it doesn't matter the numbers. We're just really excited about it. And we would like to extend an invitation if you are in our area and you're a married couple. We want you there. It doesn't matter what church you go to or if you don't go to church. We would love to see you at our Joyful Marriage group, because we just think that marriage is one of God's greatest gifts after Jesus. I think it is his greatest gift for us. So email, reach out, Instagram us about that. So Joyful Marriage. Babe, what do we do for fun? How do we keep our marriage fun?
We work.
You work. That was, okay, let's just talk about that for a minute. That was a huge adjustment. Me being like a city girl, marrying this country farm boy. Oh my goodness. When we first moved here, I had like these little house on the prairie visions of what it was going to be like. And it is awesome. And I love it here. I wouldn't trade it. But man, those cows, oh, it was Yellowstone. She quotes this quote about how the cattle will always come first. And I wanted to stand up and applaud. Like, I hear you. Not that he puts the cows before me, but that's work that cannot be put off. And with the snowstorm this Christmas, talk about that.
I'm trying to remember which.
The snow where your fingers were frozen the day before Christmas Eve.
I don't remember what happened.
The snowstorm. Babe, you were out there shivering, and we had all these plans to make cookies, and you had to be out there with the cows.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, it goes back to it. Anybody who owns livestock knows that there's no days off unless you have someone else helping you, and you can take a day off. I'm blessed enough to have a dad, and he does plenty. And I don't know. There was a time where I was out there, and it was really stinking cold, and I'm sure my hands were doing this the entire time, but you can't stop. You can't stop until it's done.
Yeah, but okay, seriously, we said what makes marriage fun, and then we said work.
I said it jokingly.
Okay. In all seriousness.
No, what makes marriage fun is learning about your spouse. Learning, obviously you have the dating, right, where you're learning about that individual, but once you get married, there's so much more that you learn. But that's a really fun part of it for me. Meg and I are very alike. We both love to laugh. We're both musicians. We love music. We love all kinds of music. So we really relate to each other on that aspect. Mm-hmm. And
we're pulling the kids in now, that's like a whole new level of fun.
Yeah.
Like seeing your kids grow in their giftings and encouraging them in it together. Today, Kylie and I, we do a service at the nursing home every few months, and there's a dear woman there named Becky. And last time she made it known that to say that she loves Elvis is an understatement. She is like the biggest Elvis fan I've ever met. So I prepared the worship side of the service for them. So I prepared some traditional songs, but then we prepared an Elvis song just for Becky. And it wasn't just me. Jesse and the kids came and sang it with us. And it made her day, didn't it?
It did.
So that's one thing we do and we've always done, pretty early on, we were both on worship team. Mm-hmm. And when I was worship director, Jesse was my main drummer. I mean, that's something we love doing together. So finding the things that you love to do together, that you're gifted at, or learning a new skill together. I mean, you like to show me how to shoot guns properly. Because I'm not very good. I mean, I'm fine. That sounded a little scary now that I say that.
Yeah. She's okay.
But it's he likes to show me that. So finding things that interest you and actually do it together. Like, get off the couch, turn off Netflix and go do something.
Yeah, make time. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with,
Netflix is great too.
Laying on the couch and watching a show or something like that. The thing that I always point out to people is just laugh.
Yeah.
Learn to laugh. Learn to have fun. Laugh at everything. I am usually not a serious individual at all.
No.
Anybody that knows me in any kind of serious conversation, I tend to smirk a little bit. Mm-hmm. It's not because, because I thought of a joke or anything like that. It's just, I don't know, God designed me as a very happy individual.
It's a strength of yours.
Yeah. I don't know. I love to laugh.
Well, people love that about you. I love that about you. That's one of the things that attracted me early on was you were fun. You made me laugh. You made me feel comfortable even. Like and you didn't play games. Like boys at that, young men, they don't know how to take care of a girl's heart the way it's supposed to. I could do a whole podcast about that, like how we should be dating and what are like the rules. But Jesse, he handled my heart with care from the get-go. And he just made me feel very loved and very special. And he still does. And that, you know, because he did that, I was willing to give him my heart. If that makes sense.
Your heart of hearts.
My heart of hearts. Oh.
Yep.
The dog's
You
not
might as
here.
well bring it up.
Well, he brought it up. That's what I say. I'm really weird, you guys, at the end of the day. I say that to my dog all the time, that she is in my heart of hearts, and that was that reference.
And I'm not a dog
I really
person.
feel like that Penny should be here now. She's not.
Hard pass.
You've watched our videos in my house before, you've seen her. But, so yeah, we like to laugh. Shall we say it?
I don't know what you're going to say, but...
The importance of sex in marriage.
Yeah.
It's important.
That is important.
We, you know, not to get too graphic or anything here, but that is one of the blessings of marriage, and it's not anything to be ashamed of. It is something to celebrate. And again, I think we can take it so seriously that you suck all the fun out of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think so many people consider it almost taboo.
Yeah.
To talk about.
It's not a mistake. God didn't accidentally give us those parts. He designed them.
Correct.
And they are made for our pleasure. And it is we're doing this study right now in our Joyful Marriage group called The Mingling of Souls. And it is by Matt Chandler. It's God's design for love, marriage, sex, and redemption. And it takes us through the whole book of Song of Solomon. And that book gets graphic, even, like, not inappropriate, but it doesn't shy around the sex topic.
Right.
So I think that if you are in a marriage and you're finding that difficult, like, seeking counsel in that, even with a very trusted individual, but and talking to your spouse about it, like, for once and for all, let the barriers be down and be vulnerable with the one person that God has given you for that purpose, and talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you know, it goes back to communication. You have to be able to, you know, like she said, be vulnerable, open yourself up to discuss those things and just talk about it. Because if you don't, then again, you know, things build up, whether that's frustration, whether that's resentment, or whatever else might come up, and then it's this ripple effect, right? It just starts to affect so many other areas of your marriage, but life in general. I mean, you know, that could flow down to you know, being short-tempered with your spouse, with your kids. There's just so much that can come of that. Yeah. So be open, be honest with each other. You're married, for goodness sake. Don't hold anything back. You know, your spouse
communicate lovingly.
Oh, well, absolutely. But what I am getting at is communicate everything. I mean, your spouse is the one individual that you're supposed to be able to be completely vulnerable and go to about anything.
Yep.
So.
And be ready to listen and not judge. And, like, you know, I hate this verbiage anymore, but, like, be a safe space.
Yeah.
But it's the truth.
It is. It is true.
That's why I love the title of this, even, The Mingling of Souls. It's not just referencing, like, yes, we're married, we're bonded together as one forever. I can't remember what it says, but in the act of being physically intimate, it's not just your bodies joining together, it's your souls, and you become one in every sense of the word: physical, spiritual, emotional. And it's this mingling of that, and it's a beautiful mystery that I think God gives us. I'm not going to pretend that I completely understand it, but it is so important to come together in that way. And if ladies and men even, I think, could enjoy this podcast. I can't recommend Francie Winslow's Heaven in Your Home podcast for very practical advice on marriage and sex. And it's Christian. It's Christian based. So if you want, like, more help in that area, I recommend that podcast highly. She speaks with such love and grace, in a way that is not shameful. It's a very good podcast.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't listened. It's my podcast.
I have not.
He's what podcast do you listen to?
Matt Walsh. I mean, all the Daily Wire.
Yeah.
Individuals. I really like Mike Rowe. Like his podcasts. I don't know. You put me on the spot. You called me off guard with that one. So those are the ones I can think of right now.
Just totally off track now. My newest favorite podcast.
Oh no!
And here's a shout out to Leanne and Steve and Kylie now.
Thanks, Steve.
Blurry Creatures. It is awesome. Blurry Creatures is awesome. Like, it's their front is like, we're a Bigfoot podcast, but so much more than Bigfoot. It's awesome.
I've tried. I just.
You will understand someday.
I can't stick with it.
It's like more understanding the supernatural, early Genesis 6 history. It's really cool, you guys. If you want something different, it's a good one.
It's definitely different.
It's cool.
What?
I want a T-shirt. I do, and I will wear it. And people be like, "What's that?" I'll be like, "Glad you asked. It's about Bigfoot."
Oh God. Okay.
Now no one's gonna listen to me anymore. Anyways, it's not really just about Bigfoot, guys. It's just a joke.
Here's one. After 15 years, what's new?
What?
In our marriage, what's new?
What's new in our marriage?
Yeah, shifting. Let's get off the blurry creatures topic.
Oh, okay.
Shift back to marriage.
Oh, but Blurry Creatures is great. Okay.
Not really marriage related.
So what's new in our marriage after 15 years?
Yeah. All right.
Talk about putting us on the spot.
Us? No, it's putting you on the spot.
What's new in our marriage? Okay.
Well, I mean, obviously we've got the life group.
Yeah.
Going on.
Oh, you mean like that, like very practically? Okay.
Oh, you were thinking literal?
No.
Like I've got a few more grays.
Well, yeah.
Coming in.
Yeah, you do, and I do too. That's all right. What's new in our marriage is that we got the life group. This year, they already know this. I'm not homeschooling anymore. I'm subbing in the schools. That's new. That's been a big adjustment.
Mm-hmm.
What's new with you?
Well, this year I started a new job, traveling for work, which is new for me, but good, good new, and I don't know. That's about it as far as new goes.
Yeah, sorry, you caught me off guard with that one. Not gonna lie.
It's okay.
Yeah, I like I can honestly say I like it when things aren't like too new because I like being comfortable, and that's not always a good thing. Because we don't grow in comfort. Does that mean the hard things are coming?
No, they're definitely ready or not. I mean, I think they always are.
Yeah. Well, anything else? I mean, so what makes our marriage work? We talk about laughing, about sex. What else? Not taking things too seriously. That's it.
Yeah. Just
Jesus, obviously. My goodness. Keeping God at the center of our marriage.
Yeah. Obviously, that's the focus around all of this. That's the center of what makes all of this work. Because we as individuals long for relationship. God desires for a relationship with us. I mean, that's our our first relationship, our first love, so to speak, as Christians. And I think biblically speaking, it really gives us a lot of outline as far as relationships goes. How we're supposed to love others, how we're supposed to treat others. I think it really gives us a great starting point as individuals, and you bring that into into marriage, and
Yeah.
just it works. It works. I mean, that's how God designed it. So
Yeah.
of course, if you follow that, it should work.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I couldn't say it better. Another thing that we're having fun doing together is lifting and working out.
Yeah.
Making that a focus. Like, just it kind of goes back to the hobbies thing, finding things you enjoy doing.
Mm-hmm.
But being on the same page about things like that. Like, okay, we're on the same page about nutrition. We're on the same page about working out, about how we spend our time, and just there are people, like, if you're really not into working out and it's very important to me, that can cause a rift.
True.
So, like, being open, things like that.
And on the nutrition side of things, I mean, it's just basically Meg saying, "I made this, and I'm gonna eat it." So.
But you always are willing to eat it.
Oh, of course. I
Like,
don't.
you're not slamming your foot down like, I want McDonald's.
Oh no. And we've had to make adjustments with gluten and dairy and everything, which is fine. But no, I mean, Meg's a phenomenal cook, and
Yeah.
I eat well, so it's one of the great things about our marriage is I am always well fed.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing I'm not 400 pounds.
Yeah. I think being clear, then that leads me to the thought of expectations and communicating them, not just having the expectation, but kind of setting, like, knowing what our roles are. And what I mean by that is that we came into our marriage knowing that being primarily a homemaker and mother was our goal. And we planned for that, like, from the get-go.
That was our roadmap in premarital counseling.
Yep, he had us do a roadmap and think about things like that. And so from the very get-go, we knew that we had to be able to live primarily off of Jesse's income. I think there's only been, like, maybe 2 to 3 years total our marriage that I haven't brought in some sort of income, because I've always done, like, piano lessons or worship or, just other things that I've done. I've worked. But it's never been our bread and butter. Our bread and butter has always been Jess, and that was something that we were communicated, and we have always lived our lives. So that's put us on the scene. It's taught us how to talk about our finances.
Yep.
It has made us realize what our roles are. Like, and what I mean by that is Jesse, he works full time, and then he decided he wanted to do the cattle too. So that makes me understand that the home, the yard, the bookkeeping, not the booking of the cattle, but, like, our finances, and cooking, that's my job. That's not his. That's what I'm willing to do. Now yours may look completely different, but the point is we communicated that. If you're a family that is very important to, like, okay, well, she is working in this, and okay, well, she's going to clean and he's going to cook. Those are things, like, resentments can grow if you do not lay that out.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that, being the primary income for our marriage, and learning that early on, knowing that has given me, I guess, a drive,
Yeah.
so to speak, to always strive to do better, to do more. There's nothing wrong with making more money. I think God obviously wants us to be happy. Biblically, it says the greed of money leads to destruction. But that's always given me a focus to always do better, to do more, to try to advance in my career. There's only been one time where I've stepped backwards, and that was when we moved back here. And God blessed us during that time.
He's blessed us beyond what I can even explain.
I mean, I cut my. I mean, I'm.
We're open book.
Yeah. I mean, I cut my salary in half in half, and you want to talk about terrifying to do as the primary breadwinner. But again, it was a leap of faith. You know, I'm gonna make this work. I'm gonna do everything that I can in my power to make this work. And you know, we lived with mom and dad while we had 3 kids, and built this house over a year and a half time frame. And
your dad, I mean, your dad, what would we do without your parents?
yeah.
Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
my parents have helped us so much, and now, you know, shifting gears, going going back to the communication and where we were early on in our marriage, as far as, you know, arguing about, you know, oh, needing to be close to family, or whose family are we going to go to and everything. Do you know where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
So, you know, I really felt like God was calling us back here, and I knew, because at the time when we lived in Delaware, we were an hour and a half from both of our parents.
Yeah, and so if this is like Columbus, Jesse's were this way and mine were that way, and so it was always okay. We got to go here now. We got to go here. It wasn't ideal.
Right.
Like, as much as we loved it, it wasn't ideal.
Right. So we moved back here, which we went from an hour and a half drive to her parents from Delaware was now a 2.5 hour drive.
Which, if you live across the country, you're like, that's nothing, and I get it. But for us, with little kids, I mean, it was hard. It was really hard, and my heart goes out to those who aren't close to their family, but that's very important to us personally.
Oh yeah, of course. And you know, again, it was a leap of faith coming out here, and well, I mean, you want to finish?
Well,
the
early
story?
on in our marriage, I said I was not open to moving here. I didn't see myself liking like
The middle of nowhere.
yeah, and I wasn't ever like mean about it. But I was just trying to be honest with him. Like, I don't think I could live there, Jesse. I just don't think that's gonna fulfill me, and I kind of like thinking I was gonna do in the future. But nothing, when he was starting to be very he was not enjoying his job at all. Like, what's the word I'm looking for? It was kind of like sucking the life out of you. Even you were done. You didn't want to be in an office.
Dissatisfied.
Yeah, I mean, he's like a cowboy now. Whatever.
No, I'm not a
Cattleman.
cowboy.
Whatever.
Farmer.
Farmer, cattleman. Like, he was in a cubicle. It was not good, and it's not where he was thriving. And my sweet sister-in-law, Nikki, I look up to her so much. She has always followed her husband and made a home wherever she's gone. And I remember talking to her about it, and I remember thinking, I want to be that. I want to, like what Ruth says to Naomi, where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. And was the heart change I had with Jess. He was expressing wanting to come back and help be with his dad and the businesses and the cattle. And God just did a complete 180 in my heart. I was like, yeah, let's do it. There was no more fear. It was just this peace.
Yeah.
And I was so excited to move here. And the Lord has not, so we lived here how long before Leanne? We've been here
5 years?
6.
No, 6 years.
So we've lived like 6 years, and I had peace in my heart. Like, this is what the Lord planned. It's good. And then lo and behold, my sister moves down the road because
Literally
her husband
2 miles this way.
the job at our local school as the band director. And just a few months ago, my parents moved here too. And so God gives us, like, because I trusted him, like, and I'm not saying that it always works out this way, but it worked out in my case. Like, I trusted him and gave him something that was, you know, very near and dear to me. Like, but I trust you, God. I choose you and my husband over that. And look at what he's done.
Yeah, I mean, he knows the desires of our heart, and you know, we as human beings, it's not in our nature to just wait. We want things now. You know, it's selfish, so to speak. But waiting on God's timing never pleasant. It seems like, but at the
But
same time,
but
we
you
need
learn
to
to do it, and then you
absolutely,
trust.
yeah, and you recognize along the way the reason for it,
For it, yes, and it
and
is good. And the older I am now, I find that I can wait a lot better now. Like, well, he's been faithful. I can trust him with this too. I can trust you. I can trust you. I think that does just come with age and time.
yeah,
You have to. God shows His faithfulness, and yeah, we need to believe, and have that faith and trust. So, sorry, did I cut you off? I'm sorry if I did.
used to it.
Hey. Anywho,
It's true.
well, yeah. So yeah, putting your spouse before yourself, I think, can really kind of sum this all up in all areas. Like, it's loving someone more than you love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's this. I don't want to say the secret, because I don't think there's one secret to marriage, but it's a pretty darn good place to start.
Yeah, I mean, the goal should be to outbless the other. Make it a competition. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's more fun that way.
Yeah, you're really good. I feel like you beat me a lot.
No, you kidding me?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Mm.
Anything else?
That's all I got.
Well, with all that being said, maybe we'll have Jesse back. What you
The
think?
Midwest man.
The Midwest man.
Is there gonna be a Midwest men?
A Midwest men.
That'd
Do you
be
think
fun.
we could get Seth on here?
Where we hijack the podcast. That'd actually be kind of funny.
If you would surprise Kylie with me with that would make it even funnier. Like, what's this? A Midwest men new release? We didn't release anything. And I would say it just like that. What's this?
All right.
It's that. Okay. Well, we love you guys, and we will see you next time. God bless.